It's the Security Weekly News, and it's episode 529. It's Friday, the 14th of November. It's almost time for the holidays, so get ready for Great Aunt Ida to make a racist remark to your second cousin Sarah, and they all end up fighting in the frozen slush in the front yard while your Uncle Sal takes bets on the whole thing, and your dad says, should I get another Jameson's or break this up? Nah, have a beer, son. You're 9 now. Get ready to be a man. Oh, and go break that up. Welcome to the show. We've got Augustus de Morgan, Doordash, Fortiweb, Typosquatting, Vista, Ransomware. We got Josh Marpet talking to Mark Carney about quantum decryption live from the B-Side Delaware show, and more on this edition of the Security Weekly News.
This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network.
We interrupt our program to bring you this.
It's the show that keeps you up to date on the latest security news twice a week. Your trusted source for accurate security information and expert analysis. It's time for the Security Weekly News. Ever feel like your network infrastructure is stuck in the past? Meet Meter, the company reimagining what it means to get and stay online. Meter delivers full-stack networking, wired, wireless, and cellular, all in one seamless, scalable, and secure solution. From hardware design and firmware to software, deployment, and support, Meter streamlines every part of your network while giving you all the control and transparency you need. Whether you're managing a branch office, retail stores, or a massive data center, Meter gives you performance, reliability, and the visibility you need to stay in control. Thanks to Meter for sponsoring. Go to securityweekly.com/meter to book a demo now. That's securityweekly.com/meter, METER. Ransomware, supply chain attacks, 0 days. Cyber threats don't wait, and neither should your defenses. With ThreatLocker, you're not just reacting to threats, you're stopping them before they start. Our Zero Trust endpoint protection locks down your environment with pinpoint control over what's allowed to run and what's not. No guesswork, no blind spots, just proactive, built-for-now security that keeps your business moving. Want to see how a true default deny strategy works? Head over to securityweekly.com/threatlocker and take the first step towards shutting the door on threats before they even knock. All right, it's the Security Weekly News. I'm Doug White. Hit that like and subscribe button and leave a comment, or you get 6 more weeks of holiday season this year. You know how that goes. All right, Doordash. So you don't have to go into a Burger King and order 4 Whoppers and 1 drink, because some rando will do it for you and bring it to your front door at 3 a.m., even though you ordered it at 8 p.m. Sorry, DoorDash, but I've never ordered DoorDash, so I don't really know. Maybe they deliver Maison Baudet butter or something. You can just sit in your shed and eat a whole stick of it. It's French butter. Oh, that is good butter. Hey, Maison Baudet should be sponsoring me, because I'm telling you, that's why I look like this. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I'm going to put in an order. Actually, you can't order it in the U.S. But anyway, so DoorDash disclosed a data breach from October, and they've been emailing people affected by the incident. So apparently an unauthorized third party took user contact information, which may have included your name, your physical address, your phone number, and your email, and possibly how many burgers you ordered from Burger King, but they didn't say. DoorDash said that a DoorDash employee got social engineered. Imagine that. So it's a breach. Now, we don't usually talk that much about breaches because, there's so many breaches happening every day. But the point I had from this story was it took them 19 days to notify victims of this incident. I mean, I get it. You need the CEO, the CIO, the CPO, the CTO, and the CISO to all agree on what happened and how it happened and what we're going to say about it happening. And then corporate legal has to sign off. And Anna's been on vacation this week and Steve is on Martinique diving. And how about we all get together next week? Oh, no, that's St. Virgil's Day. So maybe the week after. Oh, wait, that's Thanksgiving. How about 3 weeks from now? But you need to start thinking about this from another perspective. Eventually, some lawyers are going to figure out how to sue you over this. They will. Not the ones with the signs that say things like, are DUIs keeping you from getting a school bus driving license? We can help. Thanks, John Mulaney. But lawyers with fancy offices in Topeka and boilerplate class action suits are going to be putting those ads on late night TV going, have you been harmed by mesothelioma? Actually, that would be the wrong way to say that. Asbestos causes mesothelioma, but it's what killed Warren Zevon, if you didn't know. But I mean, you should kind of let people know so that they don't in turn get phished using the info that was stolen from you. And then Augustus de Morgan appears in a puff of smoke. And the next thing you know, you're in a deposition in Possum Grape, Arkansas, arguing that Anna was out of town and that's why it took so long. Yeah. I mean, also don't buy French butter in the United States. It's probably fake or rancid or both. And don't try to smuggle French butter into the US in your pockets, because customs looks at you weird and says, wow, you're sweating pure butter through your pants. And then you get attacked by raccoons outside the New York airport. But yeah, just don't do it. I love the smell of path traversal in the morning. I mean, we all do that, right? I mean, just some backspaces to see what you can see. I mean, I can't resist it. When somebody gives me access to a shared drive, I'm like, wonder what happens if I go up it. Oh, how about I go up two? Oh, the first one didn't work, but the second one did. I do that on shared drives all the time. I mean, it's worth it for the amusement's sake. Well, Fortinet, Fortiweb, FortiPath, FortiTraversal is being actively Forti exploited to create new admin users on exposed Forti devices with no authorization required. It is patched, but did you patch it? Did you expose it? I don't know. So Diffused first reported this whole thing in the wild in October and just called it an unknown Fortinet exploit. But now the attack is being used globally. Pwn Defend and Diffuse published this flaw, and so now it's out there. That means everybody's going to be doing it. Basically, they just send an HTTP post request that's got a payload with it, and that payload allows them to create a local admin level account. Yeah, that's, as we call it in the business, bad. Now, if you weren't exposing that interface, of course, it wouldn't matter, but you exposed it, didn't you? I mean, so Watchtower then confirmed that the exploit was going on in the wild and posted a video where they demonstrated a failed login attempt to Fortiweb, and then they put the exploit in place, and then the login was successful in the second round. So, in fact, Watchtower released a tool called Fortiweb Authentication Bypass Artifact Generator. Ooh, that's a mouthful. And that thing attempts to, what is it? Fabeg? Then that attempts to exploit the flaw in your system so you can see if it created an admin user with an 8-character random username. And yeah, so you can check it out anyway. But so look, don't expose your management interfaces. Don't, be sure you're using MFA, private VLAN, VPN access networks, and patch the thing. All right. But you might want to check your user list too, because it might be too late if you haven't patched it already. Europol entered the third phase of Operation Endgame, which I think is a movie, but they took down more than 1,025 servers, which had been used to infect hundreds of thousands of victims worldwide. The most takedowns occurred between 10 November and 13 November, which was yesterday. Operation Endgame, if you aren't familiar with it, is a joint effort from the EU, Australia, Canada, and the United States, and I think maybe some other people are in that as well. But in this case, a joint team of 100 law enforcement officers took down the servers, which were serving up Rhadamanthus, Venom Rat, and Elysium. So an info stealer, a remote access Trojan, and a botnet walk into a bar, and the bartender says, "Why the long face?" And the three proceed to beat the hell out of the bartender for telling that really old joke. Turns out the bar was running Windows ME, so the bar kind of had it coming. Sorry, my stand-up's a little bit surreal, and I usually get asked to leave, and it wasn't an actual nightclub anyway. But anyway, there was an arrest in Greece of the person who was responsible for, I guess, creating Venom Rat, maybe. And they did 11 searches in Germany, Greece, and the Netherlands, and more than 20 domains were seized. They also seized millions of stolen credentials. So it's good to see that cooperation can actually accomplish something. I mean, we can always get into a debate about whether this will accomplish anything in the long run, and there's actually a story about that later. But I mean, in the short run, it's good to see law enforcement working together to try to stop some of this anyway. More Typosquatting and supply chain stuff going on. This time, an NPM package named acetons/artifact was Typosquatting for the legitimate @actions/artifact in GitHub repositories. Veracode said that the intent of this was to have a script execution during a build of a GitHub-owned repository that would allow them to exfiltrate the tokens available to build the environment and then ultimately use those tokens to publish more malicious artifacts on GitHub using GitHub's identity. So they look totally legit. Very bad. So you really need to be thinking about this, right? Whether you're a 13-year-old kid in Stoner, Colorado, a real place, who's trying to write their first app, or an app dev at Evil Corp developing the next big banking control app and mind control app, you probably use repositories in your code. I mean, and I actually wondered enough about how long it would be before the AIs start accessing repos and using them, or at least handing them to vibe coders and saying, install this and install that and so forth. And I did ask ChatGPT and it said, yes, I can access these things already if they're public, which means ChatGPT may be grabbing, malicious repositories and you don't even know what a repository is because you are vibe coding. So, now ChatGPT might not fall for human typosquatting, but if these repos get reproduced and used and they have a lot of downloads and they have a good description, these AIs may be going like, wow, this would be so helpful. So, I mean, what is your plan for this part of the S-bomb? Augustus de Morgan wants to know, how do you put controls upstream, downstream, midstream, and I don't know, cross stream? How many repos are in your back pocket right now and they're in your latest app? Wriggling, squirming masses of libraries in the dark that contain libraries like a brainworm in a brainworm in some kind of Lovecraftian recursion out of an absinthe dream. And I don't mean that fake absinthe. I mean real absinthe, with the wormwood and I don't know, opium, not green Kool-Aid. So think about it. It's coming for your shop soon. Oh, this is a good one. Reselling Windows licenses. You want to dump that Gateway 2000 laptop your dad bought in 2007, the one that was running Vista when you got it off his desk, and you pawned it down at Marco's Easy Pawn for $11 and a Dan Electro guitar? Yeah, well, technically, if you didn't wipe that and you left Windows Vista on it, that's a crime, according to Microsoft. But a tribunal in the UK that is called the Competition Appeal Tribunal has ruled that Microsoft can't keep you from reselling their software. A UK company called Value Licensing filed a claim against Microsoft in 2021 because Microsoft would not allow them to resell perpetual licenses. And the suit was for £270 million. I didn't even realize reselling Microsoft software was that big of a business. But Microsoft has used all kinds of legal maneuvers, including claiming copyright violations because some clip art is in there and that is copyrighted. Probably Clippy is in there. And they're like, you can't use Clippy without our express written permission. I'm like, I don't want Clippy. Keep it away from me. But Value Licensing said that an earlier ruling in Europe in a case called the Used Soft case said that software could be resold. So for now, anyway, it's okay in Europe and the UK, but it is under appeal and Microsoft's going to fight it tooth and nail. So be careful and maybe just keep wiping those old Dell Optiplexes you've got before you dump them on eBay, because if you don't, somebody will buy them and see what's on them like we all used to do. I had some really good ones from the U.S. Forestry Service. I was like, wow, they didn't wipe any of this stuff. It was quite enlightening. According to this report, there are 85 active ransomware and extortion groups that were observed in the third quarter of 2025. I will now read all their names alphabetically. No, I won't actually, but I could. But there were 1,590 victims that were disclosed across 85 leak sites in quarter three. And that basically shows that it's a success. And I should probably turn to a life of crime when I lose my job soon. 14 new ransomware brands were launched this quarter despite law enforcement targeting and takedowns, and Lockbit returned with version 5.0. Starting to sound like a Wall Street Journal article, right? It's just like in quarter three, 14 new brands were launched. Yeah, I mean, I think it's crime for me. I'll buy a haunted arcade in Coney Island underneath the boardwalk and run my ransomware. My ransomware is Encrypty McCryptoface. Wait, I'm going to run it on a T and Tiger motherboard. And can I build some rack storage NAS too? Nobody will know why the power drain is so bad under the boardwalk. Why? I could build 10 petabytes of, and the cops will never, ever find me. Can you imagine me in prison? Okay, stop imagining me in prison. I know what you're imagining right now. Yeah, I know what you're like. My brother said I'd get shanked at intake, and a retired guard from Walpole told me the very same thing. So, basically, I won't get caught, of course, But anyway, the 85 active groups is a new record, and many smaller groups are springing up in the remains of the takedowns. So it's kind of like drug dealers, right? You stomp one group, and out of the ashes rise 10 more, sort of drug dealing hydra. I don't know. I mean, maybe my ransomware group is going to be called Rampant Hydra, and we have horses with lots of heads on the side of our 1976 Dodge vans with water beds in the back. Yeah, I don't know. Crime, sadly, does pay. The under-budgeted, undertrained law enforcement groups have to try and deal with it. Barney Fife, high-tech crimes officer, chasing down 19-15-year-olds in Tick Bite, North Carolina. Yeah, you know how that goes. So, combine Mr. Robot with the Andy Griffith Show. Coming this fall on Netflix, CSI Mayberry, Hackberry RBFD, Ernest T. Baths in a hoodie, and Otis popping Adderall like Pez. Netflix, call me. I may need a job. I can write this show. I can star in it even. I can play Otis. I mean, town drunk. I'm all set. All right. Chatty gets sued. Gemini on a tri-state killing spree. Claude goes berserk and takes over First Brooklyn Savings Bank and demands $1 million and a helicopter to Cuba. It's coming. AI is starting to be pretty much everywhere in everything all of the time. So it's really just a matter of time before someone is going to show a significant financial loss due to AI, and here come the lawyer billboards. AI got you by the microchips? Call Stan the Man. They sin, we win. You don't get paid, I don't get paid. But new court cases are trying to define content created by AI as defamatory in the United States. So what happens when Chatty says your business sucks? So a solar contractor in Minnesota said they had a lot of canceled contracts after finding that Google searches were showing the company settled a lawsuit with the state attorney over deceptive sales practices. Deceptive sales practices in the solar industry, I can't imagine. But wait, it didn't actually happen. Gemini, which is Google's AI, which, let me tell you, lately needs an ice pick lobotomy. I'm telling you that right. But Gemini said it did and had a whole page of false information about the company. This is just one of 6 defamation cases that have been filed in the United States in the last 2 years over AI content because they can't figure out any other way to sue. I mean, what if an AI decides your university is terrible? Your product sucks. Who do you sue? A person named Robbie Starbuck, who is apparently some sort of right-wing type, sued Meta, claiming that Llama generated false information and it claimed that he stormed the U.S. Capitol in 2021 and tied him to QAnon. Remember QAnon? Full metal, stupid conspiracy stuff. I mean, I wouldn't want to be associated with any of that stuff either. Of course, Mr. Starbuck sues a lot of people and said that Google LLMs made patently false statements about him. So who knows? So as you add AI into your organization and you start using it and your employees start using it and the AI starts causing problems for your customers or employees, who's getting sued? You or Meta? It'll probably turn out to be who has the most lawyers. So you might want to start hiring some right now. I mean, I think that's how that usually works. Well, and now, we got Josh Marpet is on live from B-Sides, Delaware, or Dela Vegas, as we used to call it. And Josh has the luxury of having Mark Carney, who is on to talk about quantum decryption. Hi.
Hello. So we're live here at B-Sides, Delaware. It's my conference in Newark, Delaware this year. We're lucky to have Quantum Village here this year, which is awesome. They are lovely, lovely people. They're actually holding a quantum CTF.
Oh, yes.
They've got some incredible examples of quantum qubit detectors, quantum diamonds, which I'm not 100% sure I understand, but I think Mark's here to explain a few of that. I've asked him to give a little overview of some of the front of mind topics that are really, really relevant for executives and security departments here today about quantum computing. And if he wants to talk about quantum supremacy, I will have to hit him, just to be clear. And he's right here, so I can.
Absolutely.
All right, Mark, go ahead.
It's much easier when the Zoom call's in person, I think.
Well, I think
absolutely. So thank you very much for having me on. My name is Mark Carney. I'm not the Prime Minister of Canada. I'm the other guy with the same name. So apologies if you thought you were getting that kind of access. One day, I'm sure. So yeah, we work for Quantum Village. I co-founded it with Victoria for DEF CON a few years ago, and we've been growing and doing ever more adventurous and fun things. And so when it comes to like what would people want to know about quantum, well, kind of it's here and it isn't, as you might expect.
Sorry.
So for example, we released at DEF CON this year. We released a main track talk, which was about our fully open source quantum sensor. And the aim here is to show how it works. So you can actually take a little diamond. We have these as CTF prizes, by the way, for anyone who's taking part. We source these from De Beers and Adamus Nanotechnologies and a few other companies to be able to show people how to actually operate these crystals. So we use them to be able to get people to understand the control plane. We fully open sourced it so that everyone can like poke at it. If you want to learn the electronics, you can look at that. If you want to look at the firmware or the processing software, you can look at that. And you can be less worried about the things that maybe you're going to learn later or you don't really care about. So that's kind of the way we try and look at it. We're trying to open up the ways to let that hacker mindset, that creative misuse into quantum technologies. And so we want people to understand, so for example, the TRL levels of technology. So for example, quantum sensing is probably close to TRL level 9, right? This is probably here. It's probably going to start appearing in devices that go into hospitals in the next few years, I imagine. But that means that we then need to do better testing, better actual kind of assessment of these technologies. We also promote things like sort of quantum networking, and then also quantum computing. So quantum networking is kind of a way of getting two computers or two devices to communicate and then utilize quantum states between them. It's a little bit earlier in its TRL journey. And then there's computing, which is actually in some cases quite nascent, but we're seeing examples that maybe there's something that might happen. But it's a matter of people say when, and the answer is probably not anytime soon. Let's be honest, okay? But in the interim, we've managed to get PQC primitives out through NIST. We finally got them to release all the new FIP standards. So it doesn't really matter what people think about quantum computing as likelihood. It's changing. We're actually getting to cryptography to a better place. And actually, cryptography hasn't been dynamic for pretty much ever, right? We kind of do it very statically. So crypto agility is the name of the game. Quantum's a great stick, but PQC is yeah, I think it's not very expensive. I mean, pretty stick, but like sort of it's getting people to understand that we are on this journey to develop the technology, and we will get some benefits, and there might be some risks, but we can prepare for things anyway by improving our technology. And we've seen this before with the way that we deploy things like over cloud now, and the way we use Docker completely changed the way that we were doing things just 10, 15 years ago. Cryptography can change, and we think it should. So that's kind of a big messaging. And the other one is the dangerous question, which is how much quantum? So we're very lucky to work with a number of people, one of which is Professor Bob Kirker. He's a professor out of the University of Oxford. He's written this book. This is a very limited edition. You can only get this as a prize at our CTF at the moment. You can't buy these, but you can get the paperback on Amazon. And he's actually teaching our school kids to pass Oxford University exams, using a different way of approaching the understanding of quantum formalism without having to do all this mathematics. So we're going to ask that question: how much quantum? How do we creatively misuse it? How can we get it into people's hands? How can we start building that quantum workforce and that quantum awareness in the workforce so that we can build the better, safer technologies of the future? Because some of them are here. Others look like they're on their way, but we really need to get a handle on exactly how we're going to be getting people to engage with it. So that's kind of what we do.
Thank you, Mark. That was awesome. Doug, back to you.
Wow, that was a lot. I want that book though.
I told him I want the link to buy it on Amazon. The paperback's on Amazon. I told him I want the link. We'll put it in the show notes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, put the link in the show notes. I think because I think that's a great idea. That's exciting, Mark. I think that's really cool, and I wish I was there, but I think my invitation got lost somewhere. But regardless,
position somewhere.
yeah, thank you. We appreciate it. Thanks, Josh. It's always a pleasure. Enjoy B-Sides Delaware, and I think everybody should go to B-Sides. Those are really good. I've been to a few of them, and I think they're really awesome. And they're very different than the big cons. And if you're out there and you want to get to know more people in the industry, as opposed to just sitting in an auditorium listening to somebody on stage talk, B-Sides is the way to go. because you'll get a chance to actually meet some of the people that are doing this stuff. Like, and you may be like terrified because you're meeting people that are like Mark, and you're going, oh no, I shouldn't be talking to this person. It's not allowed. And, but you get to talk to them anyway. So check out the nearest B-sides to you. They have them all over the place. So they're not just in Delaware anymore. But thank you, Josh and Mark. That was great.
Thank you.
You know who I trust less than a used car salesperson? AI. And an AI used car salesperson would probably be the worst. So Google is now promising, don't you love it when they tell you, here's what you're getting and you're going to like it. Google has promised to inject generative AI into the online shopping experience and is now adding an AI mode search to it. And, I'm like, okay, fine. I mean, you can do whatever you want. Google says that their AI mode is bringing conversational shopping to AI mode, and that because of its enormous retailer data, they can provide useful suggestions because that never gets manipulated, right? I mean, so according to them, you will be able to ask AI what to buy, when to buy it, and it will provide suggestions, guides, tables, and other content to help you decide, along with a healthy dose of legal disclaimers about caveat emptor, I'm sure. And if you do caveat emptor, that's a fancy word for let the buyer beware. I think it's Latin. Now, since Google also sells the option to be sponsored, so that Doc McKee's patented coal oil, turpentine, and opium formula, in every bottle of Sleepy Infant Tonic is at the top of the list when you search for, my kid won't fall asleep and I don't know what to do. Well, then I don't know about this because it seems like a conflict of interest that the AI is accessing something that maybe they have ways around all this, but it didn't really talk about that. But the AI is looking at the same things you're looking at. And it's seeing sponsored stuff at the top, maybe poison stuff at the top, et cetera, et cetera. And that could be a problem. And, maybe the AI is going to then be trying to sell me Doc McKee's tonics over Uncle Fester's brand Baby Behave since Uncle Fester didn't pay up. So, caveat emptor is a thing in capitalist societies. It's a big thing. And it was one of the basic tenets of capitalism. Like, hey, if you're too stupid to make, educated decisions between Dr. McKee and Uncle Fester, it's on you. When Willie Loman tells somebody that the check engine light being on that used Ford Taurus means it's broken in, it's really on the buyer to say, that doesn't sound right. So I don't trust AI. I see it all the time when I do use it, and I see all the time reasons I shouldn't trust it. And I really do worry about this because it sounds like a huge conflict of interest, but it is coming. Your friends, your employees, and your families are all going to be going with a duplex recommendation from the extended Gemini model that was all from one company that sells the ads, makes the sausage, and then has AI explain how the sausage is far, far healthier because all the ads say so. It's circular logic. It's conflict of interest, I think. But anyway, Augustus de Morgan is spinning in his grave, which just happens to be in Kensal Green in London. And I am going to go to London next summer if the world doesn't burn, and I'm going to go visit Augustus de Morgan's grave. We'll have to film something there so that we can put it on the show. But if the world is still here by then, so who knows? But that is the news. Thanks, Josh Marpet and Mark. And to all of you, I'll see you next time on the Security Weekly News.